The lights inside the auditorium dimmed to a hush, and the familiar theme of America's Got Talent faded out. The camera panned across a sea of faces, people waiting to be moved, inspired, or stunned. Some leaned forward in anticipation, others simply clapped, ready for whatever came next. On the judges' table, Simon Cowell adjusted his microphone, his expression unreadable as always. From behind the curtain, a small figure stood still, clutching a worn-out guitar case against his chest. His name was Eli Santiago, a 20-year-old Filipino from Davao City. His black hair was neatly combed, but his hands trembled slightly as he waited for his cue. This wasn't just any audition for him, it was a moment he'd promised his mother before she passed away. A stagehand whispered, "You're up next." Eli nodded, exhaled softly, and stepped into the blinding light. The audience was quiet for a moment as the boy walked to the center of the stage. He placed his guitar case down, opened it, and pulled out an old, scarred acoustic guitar, one that looked like it had seen more years than he had. Simon tilted his head, intrigued. "Hello there," he said. "What's your name?" Eli swallowed hard. "My name is Eli Santiago," he said in a shy, accented voice. "I'm from the Philippines." A gentle wave of applause came from the crowd. Sofia Vergara smiled warmly. "Welcome, Eli. What brings you all the way here?" Eli took a breath, eyes glistening slightly. "I came here because of my mother," he said softly. "She always wanted me to sing on a big stage. She told me, if I ever get a chance, I should sing something from my heart. So that's what I'm going to do tonight." Simon leaned forward slightly. "And what are you going to sing?" Eli looked down at his guitar and said, "It's an original song I wrote. It's called, Mama, Don't Go." A ripple of emotion passed through the audience. Even before he played a note, something about his trembling voice and raw honesty pulled everyone closer. The judges exchanged glances. Heidi Klum whispered, "That's already breaking my heart." Then Eli strummed the first chord. The sound was soft, cracked, but rich in soul. His fingers shook slightly, but his voice, his voice, rose pure and trembling like a whisper caught between pain and prayer. "Greater than, Mama, don't go, I still need your light. I'm lost in the dark when you say goodnight. Mama, don't go, stay just a while. Let me see that love in your final smile." The entire room fell silent. Every lyric sounded like it came straight from a diary written in tears. The melody was hauntingly simple, just a few chords, but wrapped in an ache that made people hold their breath. Behind the scenes, one of the camera operators wiped his eyes. A mother in the front row pressed her hand to her mouth, whispering, "Oh my God." As Eli sang the second verse, his voice cracked. He closed his eyes, fighting the tears. "Greater than, you worked your hands till they couldn't hold. You gave your dreams so I'd have gold. You said, my boy, someday you'll shine. But I'll be gone, so promise you'll try." He paused, trembling, and then whispered, almost to himself, "This one's for you, Mama." Simon Cowell, who had seen thousands of auditions, had his eyes fixed on Eli. There was something unguarded about this boy, not performing for fame, but singing out of loss. "Greater than, Mama, don't go, I still feel your hand. In every song, in every strand. Mama, don't go, your love won't fade. You built my heart with the prayers you made." By now, tears rolled down Eli's cheeks. The notes wavered, but somehow the cracks made it more powerful. The last line came like a whisper through a storm. "Greater than, Mama, I know heaven called your name. But here I am, still singing through the pain." The guitar fell silent. Eli lowered his head, a tear dropping onto the strings. The auditorium stayed frozen for 3 long seconds. Then, like a wave breaking, the crowd erupted. People stood up. The applause turned into cheers, then sobs. Sofia Vergara covered her mouth, crying openly. Heidi Klum dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Simon didn't move at first. His jaw tightened, and he blinked a few times, visibly holding back emotion. Then, with no warning, he slammed his palm down on the golden buzzer. The golden confetti exploded above the stage, raining down like sunlight. Eli gasped, looking up, covering his mouth as if he couldn't believe it. The crowd went wild. Simon stood up, clapping slowly, his face softened with empathy. "That," he said over the roar, "was one of the most emotional auditions I have ever seen in my life." Eli fell to his knees, crying into his guitar. The crew ran up to him, and Sofia came to hug him on stage. "That song, oh my God," she whispered. "Your mom would be so proud." Simon walked up to him and placed a hand on his shoulder. You did her proud, son. That wasn't just a performance, that was a moment the world will remember. Backstage, as the confetti still shimmered in his hair, Eli clutched his guitar. He whispered into the air, Mama, did you see that? His mother, Rosa Santiago, had died 2 years earlier. She was a single parent who worked 3 jobs to raise him after his father abandoned them. She used to hum lullabies to him under the flickering lights of their small apartment. When she got sick, Eli sold his old violin to pay for her medicine. But it wasn't enough. On her last night, she held his hand and said, Promise me, Eli, no matter how hard it gets, don't stop singing. Sing for me, even when I'm gone. That promise had carried him here, across the ocean, with nothing but a suitcase and a song. After the audition aired on television, the clip went viral overnight. Within 24 hours, it had 80 million views on YouTube. Comments flooded in from around the world. Greater than, I can't stop crying. His song feels like my story too. This boy just healed a part of me I didn't know was broken. Simon pressing that golden buzzer wasn't just for him, it was for every child who lost their mom too soon. Eli's phone wouldn't stop ringing. He appeared on interviews, talk shows, and even virtual calls with Filipino communities abroad who were proud of him. But through it all, he stayed humble. It's not about fame, he said quietly on one morning show. It's about saying thank you to the person who gave me everything. During the semifinals, Eli came back to perform again. This time, he wore a simple black suit. The stage lights formed the shape of angel wings behind him. Simon smiled at him from the judges' table. So, what are you singing tonight? Eli took a deep breath. It's a continuation of my first song. I call it, Fly, Mama, Fly. The crowd murmured softly, anticipating another emotional moment. The first notes began, gentle, yet more confident than before. Greater than, Fly, Mama, Fly, your wings are free. I'll sing your name across the sea. Fly, Mama, Fly, don't cry for me. I'm standing tall, just like you'd see. He sang with new strength. This wasn't a boy begging his mother to stay, it was a son learning to let go. The transition between grief and healing was raw and beautiful. When he finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the building. Terry Crews, the host, hugged him as the crowd gave a standing ovation. Simon said softly into the mic, Eli, your mother would be so proud of the man you're becoming. What you've done here, it's not just music. It's love, turned into art. Eli made it to the finals. The night of the grand finale, he stood backstage with trembling hands again. But, this time, it wasn't fear, it was gratitude. He looked up at the stage monitor showing the packed auditorium. This is for you, Mama, he whispered. When it was his turn, he walked out under the golden lights. His final song was a combination of his first two, Mama, Don't Go, and Fly, Mama, Fly. It was a story in melody, pain that grew into peace. The performance was breathtaking. At one point, a projection of stars filled the screen behind him, and among them appeared a faint silhouette of a woman's face, his mother's. The crowd gasped. Greater than, Mama, don't go, but if you must. I'll live my life, I'll earn your trust. Fly, Mama, fly, through heaven's door. I'll sing your song forevermore. When the last note echoed, the entire theater erupted again. Simon stood up, tears in his eyes, clapping over his head. Eli didn't win the season, but it didn't matter. The moment the confetti fell, everyone knew his story had already won hearts around the world. Months later, Eli returned to the Philippines. He visited his mother's grave on a quiet hill overlooking Davao City. The sun dipped low, painting the sky gold and crimson. He knelt beside the tombstone, brushing away the dust. Hi, Ma, he whispered. I did it. They pressed the golden buzzer for us. He pulled out his guitar and played softly, the same song that had changed his life. The melody floated through the air like a prayer. An old neighbor passing by stopped and listened. Tears glistened in her eyes. That boy, he's still singing for his mama. As the last chord faded, Eli looked up to the sky. A soft breeze brushed his face, as if answering. Somewhere, in a place beyond pain, Rosa Santiago smiled. Greater than, Mama, don't go, he whispered one last time, because you're already here. The camera of memory zooms out, over the quiet cemetery, over the golden sunset, and over a young man whose song reminded the world that even the deepest heartbreak can become something beautiful when sung with love. Years passed. Eli became an international recording artist, known for his soulful, emotional songs. But he never changed. He still played his old guitar, the one his mother had bought him from a pawn shop when he was 10. In every concert, before his final encore, he would say the same words. This song is for anyone who's lost someone they love. Remember, love doesn't end when life does. It becomes music. Then, he'd close his eyes and sing. Greater than, Mama, don't go, your heart's still near. In every crowd, I feel you here. Mama, don't go, I'll make you proud. Your love still sings above the crowd. And every time, the audience cried, smiled, and stood up in applause, because they weren't just hearing a song. They were hearing a son's promise.